All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. This one, similar to the previous problems, we're going to use factoring by grouping. But there's something a little different here. I'm looking at it and I'm like, hold on. I see a cubed here. We've been factoring quadratics. If we scroll back up, this is x squared, this is x squared. I have a constant, I have a constant. I see no constant here. So I'm like, all right. Can't exactly do factor by grouping if I don't have a c value. Or excuse me, if I don't have a constant. Okay? So what I actually need to do first is greatest common factor. So if I'm looking at the greatest common factor here, they all have an x in common. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. That's the first thing we always want to do in any factoring problem. If there is a greatest common factor, you want to factor it out. So I see that they have an x in common. I factor that out. And then I'm looking and I'm like, well, hold on. 4, 18, and 10, those are all divisible by 2. So I can definitely also take out a 2. So my greatest common factor here should be 2x. And I'll be left with 2x squared plus 9x minus 5. Now I need to keep going. Now I'm going to have to factor this again. And I'm going to use factoring by grouping. Now I can use factoring by grouping. I'm going to ignore what's out in front first for a second. I'm going to ignore this right here. So let's put this on pause for a second. I'm going to multiply my a and my c. I get negative 10. And I ask myself, what are the factors of negative 10 that can give me 9? Well, 10 and 1. And it has to be a positive 10 and a negative 1 if I'm going to get a positive 9x. So just like we've done in the past, we bring our a down. We replace the b with the factors of negative 10. So positive 10x and negative 1x. And you don't have to put negative 1 if you don't want to. You could just put negative x. It's your choice. Mathematically, they are the same. Minus 5. There we go. Now this is when I want to actually start grouping. So I'm going to come down here, put a bracket around that, and bring down my 2x from the front. So I'm going to group these together and group these together. For the green part, I'm asking myself, what is the greatest common factor there? Well, x. I can only factor out an x. So I'm left with 2x minus 1. Okay? Same goes over here. I'm going to ask myself, what can I factor out? Well, 10x and 5 only have 5 in common. So I factor out 5, and I am again left with 2x minus 1. And now I notice, 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1, that means I'm on the right track. That's what we want to see. So I have 2x on the outside still from over here. And now I'm factoring out my 2x minus 1 because that in and of itself is a greatest common factor. And I have x plus 5 left over. And that is now my final answer. I could really take these brackets away, though, at this point. Once I've established that I'm finished, and then kind of just scoot over this 2x. Yep, and that's it. That is how you factor that one. So anytime that you see it cubed, do not factor it from cubed. You don't know how to factor a cubic function. You only know how to factor quadratic functions. You do know how to factor a cubic function as a GCF, which is what we did at the top in red. So you can factor out the greatest common factor and force it to become quadratic. Okay, but do not mess up and make the mistake of just going straight from here. You have to factor out the GCF first.